I stared at my phone, grinning like an idiot. Emily had just sent me a picture of her coffee mug with that stupid little heart drawn on it. I typed back, "Cute. You think of me every morning. Huh." Her reply came almost instantly. "Always. Even in lectures." I laughed out loud in the empty hallway, imagining her scribbling my name somewhere in her notebook while Professor Adams droned on. "Talking to yourself again?" Jake's voice startled me. He leaned against the lockers, smirking. "I'm not talking to myself. I'm texting," I said, quickly pocketing my phone. Jake raised an eyebrow. "Sure, texting yourself is normal. But hey, she's been acting kind of off lately, hasn't she?" "What do you mean?" I asked, frowning. "You know, distant. Late to meet you yesterday. That weird smile when you asked her about her weekend." Jake leaned closer. "I'm just saying, don't ignore it." I shook my head. "Jake, come on. Emily's amazing. I trust her. Everything's fine." My voice sounded firmer than I felt. He rolled his eyes and let it drop. "All right, Romeo. Don't say I didn't warn you." I smiled, a little nervously, but my mind was already elsewhere. On the little velvet box tucked in my drawer at home. I could see it in my head. The ring, the sparkle, the look on Emily's face when I got down on one knee. My heart raced just thinking about it. Later, I found Emily sitting under the oak tree outside the library, headphones in, staring at her sketchbook. I waved, and she looked up, smiling that smile that could stop time. "Hey, you," I said, dropping my bag beside her. She giggled. "Hey, you. Busy day?" "Not really. Just thinking." I caught her gaze. "Actually, I was thinking about us." Emily tilted her head. "Us?" "Yes, us." I grinned. After graduation, I want to." She held up a hand. "Shoo. Don't say it yet. Let's just enjoy today." I froze. Enjoy today? That wasn't what I wanted. But her eyes, they were soft, teasing, and I couldn't argue. Later, she got up to leave, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Walk me to class?" "Of course." As we walked, she laughed at some joke only she understood. But then her phone buzzed. She checked it quickly, hiding her face behind her hand. "Everything okay?" I asked. She smiled faintly. Yeah, fine. Just a message." I nodded, but something in me tightened. Why the secrecy? Why the sudden flicker of worry in her eyes? When we reached her classroom, she hugged me briefly. "See you after lecture?" "Definitely," I said, watching her enter. I lingered, thinking. There was something I wasn't seeing. Something subtle, but it was there. And yet, I wanted to believe everything was perfect. Walking back to my dorm, I bumped into Jake again. "Noticing anything weird?" he asked. "Maybe," I admitted. "But I think it's nothing. She's just Emily." Jake shook his head. "Man, just promise me you'll keep your eyes open. Not everyone is as perfect as they look." "I promise," I said, though inside, a tiny knot of doubt twisted. That night, I sat on my bed, staring at the ring. I imagined asking her in the most beautiful way, her laughter, her tears, her saying yes. And for a moment, I forgot about the little doubts, the late messages, the secretive smiles. For now, everything was perfect. I spotted Emily across the quad, sitting on the bench under the old maple tree. She had her notebook open but wasn't writing. Instead, she stared at the ground, tapping her pen nervously. I waved, and she looked up, gave a quick smile, then looked away again. "Hey!" I called softly, walking over. "Hey!" she said, voice quiet, almost distracted. "Everything okay?" I asked, sitting beside her. She shrugged, avoiding my gaze. "Yeah. Just tired, I guess." I frowned. "You've been distant lately. Is something bothering you?" She shook her head, but her eyes flicked toward the administration building. I noticed Professor Adams walking out, papers in hand, his usual confident stride. Emily glanced at him, and then quickly back at her notebook. Something in her posture. It wasn't just tiredness. "Emily," I said, leaning closer. You can tell me. You know that, right? She forced a smile. I know. Really. I'm fine. Just a lot on my mind, I guess. I didn't believe her, but I nodded anyway. If you say so. Later that day, I ran into Jake in the library. He had that look, the one that said he knew more than he was letting on. You okay? He asked, lowering his voice. I shrugged. Yeah. Just worried about Emily. She's different lately. Quiet. Secretive. Jake leaned in. I noticed. She's been canceling lunch plans, disappearing after class. And that look she gave when Adams came by? Not normal. Come on, Jake. That's just Emily being Emily, I said defensively. She's always had her private moments. Doesn't mean anything. Jake shook his head. I'm telling you, man, you should pay attention. People aren't always what they seem. I trust her, I said firmly. That's what matters. He raised an eyebrow. Trust is good, but ignoring signs? That's dangerous. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. I can't imagine Emily doing anything wrong. She's perfect to me. Jake didn't argue. He just nodded, as if letting me fight my own battle with denial. That evening, I walked back to my dorm, replaying the day in my head. Emily's avoidance, her quick glances, her nervous tapping. My mind wanted to see it as stress, exhaustion, maybe school pressure. But the knot in my stomach told me something else was there, something I wasn't ready to face. The next day in class, Professor Adams started lecturing about college responsibilities. His voice was calm but carried authority that silenced the room. I noticed Emily sitting at the front, unusually attentive, eyes fixed on him. She smiled faintly when he paused to make a point, a smile I had never seen before. My chest tightened. After class, I caught up with her in the hallway. Emily, you okay? Yeah, she said quickly, brushing past me. I'll see you later. Wait, I said, grabbing her arm gently. You're avoiding me. Talk to me. She shook her head, her smile forced. I have to go. I'll explain. Later. Later? Always later. I muttered under my breath. Walking home, I couldn't shake the unease. I kept thinking about all the small moments we'd shared. Her laughing at my terrible jokes, sneaking me notes in class, the way she always held my hand. Those memories battled the strange feelings I had now, and for a moment, I convinced myself nothing had changed. But deep down, I knew something had shifted. Something shadowed our perfect world. Jake's words echoed in my mind. People aren't always what they seem. I sat on my bed, staring at my reflection in the mirror. Emily? I whispered to myself. What's going on? The phone buzzed. It was a message from her. Just a simple, hey, sorry, busy. Talk later. No explanation, no warmth. I stared at it, my chest tight, my thoughts spinning. My mind jumped back to Professor Adams. The way Emily looked at him yesterday, that strange little smile. Could it mean anything? No, I told myself. She loves me. She wouldn't. She can't. And yet, the seed of doubt had been planted. I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. Something was happening behind my back. Something I didn't want to see. But the thought of facing it, the thought of losing her, made my stomach twist in fear. I whispered to the empty room. I just want us to be happy. But I felt it, the first shadow over my perfect day. And I didn't know if I was ready to face what it meant. I woke up early, my heart racing with excitement. Today felt like the right day. I could almost see it in my mind. Emily's eyes widening, the small gasp, the laughter, and finally, her saying yes. I grabbed my phone and texted Sophie, Emily's roommate, "Hey, you around today?" A few minutes later, her reply popped up, "Yeah, why? Just want to check if Emily's free later." I typed, trying to sound casual. She's been a little weird lately. Just saying. I frowned. Weird how? Don't worry about it. You know her. She'll tell you when she's ready. I shook my head, smiling. Sophie had that look of someone who saw everything but said nothing. All right, thanks. I couldn't dwell on it. Today was the day I was going to ask her to spend the rest of her life with me. I went out and bought the ring I had been saving for months. The clerk wrapped it carefully, and I held the small box like it was the most precious thing in the world, which it was. Back at my dorm, I rehearsed what I would say. Emily, I whispered to myself, pacing the room. I've loved you for so long. You're everything I've ever wanted. Will you marry me? I smiled at my reflection. It sounded perfect. I could see her face, her laugh, the tears in her eyes. The phone buzzed. I glanced at it. Emily. I opened the message. It was a short, "Hey, busy now. Talk later." I frowned but shook it off. She's probably in class or talking to someone. Nothing to worry about. Later, as I walked to the cafeteria, I saw Emily sitting with Sophie. She looked distant again, like yesterday. Sophie noticed me first. "Oh, hey," Sophie said, waving. "How's it going?" "Good, good," I replied. Then I turned to Emily. "Hey, mind if I sit?" She hesitated for a moment, then smiled faintly. "Sure." I tried to catch her eyes, but she kept glancing at her phone. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just emails," she said quickly. I nodded, trying not to let my worry show. "Okay, I've been thinking about us. About, you know?" I trailed off, letting her fill in the blanks. Emily's smile was small, polite. "I know." I felt my chest tighten. Something was off, but I pushed it aside. Today was for the proposal. Nothing else mattered. Sophie leaned over, whispering, "Careful. You know? She's been acting different. Don't get too shocked." I smiled at her, trying to appear unconcerned. "Thanks for the warning. I trust her. I hope she's okay." Sophie shrugged, sipping her coffee. "I hope so too. You seem happy. That's what matters." I nodded, but my mind kept replaying Emily's small behaviors. The sudden text at odd hours, the distracted smiles, the way she sometimes seemed somewhere else entirely. My heart wanted to ignore it, to fill the space with hope instead. After lunch, we walked across the campus together. "Emily, I've got something for you later," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Oh?" she asked, tilting her head. "You'll see," I said, grinning. She smiled faintly, but there was that flicker of distraction again. Her phone buzzed, and she checked it quickly, tucking it back into her bag. "Everything okay?" I asked softly. Yeah, fine," she replied too quickly. I forced a laugh. "You're so mysterious sometimes. Makes it hard to keep up." She gave me a quick, nervous laugh. "I guess I've got secrets." My stomach fluttered, a mix of excitement and a small, nagging worry I couldn't name. Secrets. That word echoed in my mind, but I pushed it away. I had rehearsed this moment for months. The ring, the words, her face. None of that would change. I was ready. As we parted for class, I whispered, "Just wait. You'll see." Her eyes met mine briefly, hesitant, unreadable, and I smiled, feeling that perfect bubble of hope again. Today, everything was going to be perfect. I knocked on Emily's apartment door, my heart hammering. Today was it. Today, I was going to ask her to be mine forever. I could already hear her laughter, see her eyes glistening, feel her hand in mine. "Emily?" I called softly as the door opened. Her eyes widened, and she froze. "Oh, hey." I smiled, holding the small velvet box behind my back. "Hi. I have something for you." She stepped aside, but her expression was tense. "Come in." I stepped into the living room and froze. She was standing near the couch, her hands pressed to her stomach. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. "Emily, what?" My voice caught. She looked down, tears forming. I didn't know how to tell you." I frowned. "Tell me what?" She swallowed, her voice trembling. I'm pregnant." I blinked. "Pregnant? With?" Her eyes shifted nervously. It's not yours." My chest slammed with pain. The words barely registered. "Not mine," I whispered. "Then who?" A door opened behind her, and he stepped in. Professor Adams. Calm, smiling faintly. My blood ran cold. "Hello, Michael," he said smoothly. "I see you've found out." Couldn't breathe. "Professor Adams?" What's going on? Emily's lips trembled. I didn't mean for it to happen. You didn't mean for it to happen? I shouted, stepping closer. Emily, we were supposed to. I know, she cried, backing away. I know. I love you. I swear I do. But I didn't know how to. I shook my head, my legs feeling weak. Then the baby? Professor Adams spoke, his tone calm, almost rehearsed. Emily and we had an arrangement. Nothing personal against you, Michael. You should understand, you're young, idealistic. I laughed bitterly, a sound I barely recognized. Arrangement? You manipulated her. All this time. Emily flinched. You didn't what? I yelled. You didn't tell me? You didn't care what I wanted? You didn't think about us? Tears filled her eyes. I wanted to. I did. I tried. I really did. But everything got out of control. Out of control? I spat, feeling the world crumbling around me. We were planning a life together. I trusted you. Professor Adams stepped forward. Michael, calm yourself. This isn't a crime. Emily made choices. Poor ones, perhaps, but she betrayed me. I shouted. You both betrayed me. I can't. Emily grabbed my arm. Please, Michael. Don't go. I need air. I cried, tearing my arm away. My hands shook. My chest ached. My mind raced in chaos. I didn't know how to tell you, she whispered again. Too late, I snapped. Way too late. You lied to me. Every smile, every moment. It was all a lie. Professor Adams crossed his arms, unfazed. Michael, you're letting emotion cloud reason. Step back. I don't care about reason, I yelled. I cared about love, about us. And you destroyed everything. Emily's tears ran freely now. I never wanted to hurt you. I love you, I swear. You love me? You're carrying his child. I shouted, my voice cracking. Do you even hear yourself? She dropped her gaze. I don't know anymore. I don't know what I'm feeling. I shook my head, stepping back. My legs felt like lead. The room spun. My dreams, my plans, my heart, all shattered on the floor before me. I can't do this. I whispered, my throat tight. I can't, not now. Emily's hand reached for me again. Michael, wait. I need to go, I said, my voice barely audible. I can't face this. Not today. Not like this. I stumbled toward the door, my chest burning, my eyes stinging. I trusted you, I gasped. I'm sorry, she cried after me, her voice breaking. Professor Adams said nothing, just watched, his calm presence a twisted contrast to my chaos. I didn't look back. I slammed the door behind me and ran down the stairs, my mind screaming, my body trembling. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. I couldn't understand how everything I had believed in, everything I had dreamed of, had been ripped from me in one moment. Outside, the cool air hit my face, but it did nothing to soothe the fire in my chest. My hands shook. My legs felt numb. I leaned against the railing, staring at the ground, trying to make sense of the impossible. Emily, Professor Adams, lies, betrayal. I just couldn't. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely, utterly broken. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my bed, staring at the ring box. The velvet felt heavy in my hands, like it carried every broken piece of my heart. My phone buzzed. Emily. Michael, I'm sorry. Please talk to me. I didn't open it. Couldn't. A knock came at the door. Michael? You in there? Jake's voice. I didn't answer. Hey man, open up, he said, persistent. Come on. This isn't you. I'm fine, I muttered, though the words sounded hollow. Fine? You're sitting in the dark with a stupid box and refusing to eat. That's fine. I ignored him. My mind replayed every moment with Emily, her laugh when I made a terrible joke, the notes she sneaked me, The way she said my name softly in the library. Every memory twisted into sharp shards. Jake sighed. You can't just shut everyone out. Talk to me, please. I trusted her, Jake. Every bit of me. And she, my voice cracked. She betrayed you, he said quietly, sitting on the edge of my bed. Yeah, I get it. But you can't let it eat you alive. I don't know what to do, I admitted, my hands shaking. Part of me wants to scream at her. Part of me wants to, I don't know, vanish. Jake frowned. Revenge, huh? I didn't answer immediately. The thought flickered in my mind. The anger, the humiliation. It tasted bitter and satisfying in a way I hated to admit. Maybe I want her to regret it. To feel a fraction of what I feel. Jake's eyes softened. You're allowed to feel that. But don't let it control you. You've got a choice, revenge or moving on. I looked at him, then at the unopened ring. My hands traced the edges of the box. She should have worn this. I should have seen her say yes. I should have. The thoughts looped endlessly. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Emily. Michael, please. I didn't mean. I threw the phone across the room. I can't, I whispered. I can't hear her voice. Not now. Not like this. Jake leaned back. Then write it down. Don't bottle it up. I can't write. I can't do anything. My chest burned. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the disbelief. They collided into one unbearable weight. Hours passed. I stared out the window, watching the campus lights flicker. Memories came unbidden. Late-night talks, secret smiles, the way she rested her head on my shoulder. I remembered promising her forever, planning our life, imagining our wedding. Now all of it felt like someone else's dream. I keep thinking about what I could have done differently, I murmured. Did I miss signs? Was I too blind? Too stupid to see the truth? You weren't stupid, Jake said. You loved her. That's not weakness. That's human. I don't know if love matters anymore, I said bitterly. She lied. Lied with him. With Adams. Jake was silent for a moment. Then he said softly, You have a choice, Michael. You can let it destroy you, or you can do something else. I stared at him, at the unopened ring, at the darkened apartment. Something stirred inside me. Not just pain, but a cold, calculating heat. Maybe she should regret this. Maybe she should feel what I feel. Maybe. Jake noticed the shift. Don't lose yourself, man. Don't do something you'll regret. I won't. I need to think. My voice was quiet, but firm. Jake nodded. I get it. I'll be around. Don't isolate yourself completely. Not now. You need people, even if you don't feel like it. I sank back onto my bed. My hands rested on the ring box. Every memory of Emily, every laugh, every promise. Everything had turned into fuel. Fuel for rage, sorrow, and maybe revenge. My mind kept replaying her messages. The look on her face, Adam's calm arrogance. I clenched my fists. One day, I whispered to myself, one day you'll see. You'll regret it. Every single lie. And yet, beneath the fire, there was sadness. A hollow ache that no anger could fill. A sense of loss so deep that I wondered if I'd ever feel whole again. I looked at the unopened ring again. My plan, my hope, my dreams. They were all crushed. But the fire of betrayal had planted a seed I couldn't ignore. Jake left eventually, promising to check on me later. I closed my eyes and let the silence envelop me. Alone, in the dark, I whispered to myself, I trusted you, and you broke me. But I'll survive. Somehow, I'll survive. And somewhere in that survival, the first spark of something darker began to glow. I paced my room, staring at the unopened ring. The velvet box mocked me, reminding me of what I had lost. My hands shook, my chest burned, and my mind wouldn't stop replaying the moment I'd seen Emily and Adams together. Jake knocked. You in there? I'm thinking, I said, my voice tight. He pushed the door open. Thinking or plotting? I froze. Maybe both. Michael. You don't have to do anything stupid. I can't just sit and let this go, I whispered. I trusted her. I loved her. And he used her to humiliate me. Jake's expression softened. I get it. But don't let anger make decisions for you. Revenge can consume you as much as them. I know, I said, pacing again. But I can't ignore it. I need closure. Some way to regain control. Some way to expose the truth without completely losing myself. Jake frowned. Expose? How? I hesitated. I've been thinking about Professor Adams. His arrogance. The way he manipulates everyone around him. There has to be something, some weakness I can use. Jake leaned back. You're serious about this? Yes, I said, my voice firm but trembling. But carefully. I don't want to ruin myself. Just make them face what they did. You're walking a dangerous line, Jake warned. I know, I said, which is why I need guidance. Someone smart, someone who understands consequences. A memory hit me. Mark, my mentor from part-time detective work. Analytical, sharp, calm. I picked up the phone. Mark, it's me. I need advice, I said when he answered. Michael? It's late. What's wrong? It's Emily Adams. Something happened, and I can't just ignore it. I need to know how to handle this without destroying myself. Mark was quiet for a moment. You're talking about revenge. I guess indirectly. I don't want to hurt anyone innocent. But they betrayed you, he interrupted gently. I understand. But listen, there's a difference between justice and obsession. If you're careful, you can gather evidence, influence outcomes, but be aware. Crossing lines can consume you emotionally. I know, I said. I'll be careful. I need a plan. Something that shifts power back, shows the truth, but doesn't ruin me in the process. Mark sighed. Start by observing. Gather details, dates, conversations, behaviors. Don't jump. Subtlety is key. And don't underestimate your own feelings. Revenge feels good in imagination, but in reality, it's messy. I get it, I said, my hands gripping the phone. I'll be subtle, calculated, and careful. Good. Keep me posted, Mark said, hanging up. I hung up, feeling a cold clarity settle over me. This wasn't just about anger anymore. This was about control, about regaining my dignity, about showing them that betrayal didn't destroy me. I opened my laptop. I began researching Adams subtly, public records, college events, social media. Every arrogant post, every dismissive comment, every interaction where he overstepped his authority was noted. I found emails leaked from previous incidents, small, innocuous, but enough to show a pattern of manipulation. Emily's face flashed in my mind. Her smile, her whispered promises, the trust one had given so freely. How could someone betray love so completely? The anger returned, but this time it was sharper, more controlled. I paused and stared at the ring again. My chest ached. This had started as love, and now it was a weapon. I whispered to myself, I have to do this carefully. I can't lose myself in anger. Jake knocked again, cautiously. Any progress? Yeah, I said, showing him my notes. I know his arrogance. I know patterns. I know when he slips. Now I just need to wait and use it at the right time. Jake looked at me, eyes wary. Michael, just remember, this can backfire. You could get hurt as much as them. Think through every move. I said, my voice firm. Every step. I won't act blindly. I won't ruin my own life for theirs. But you're still planning to expose them, Jake said. Yes, I admitted. Not for revenge alone. For closure. For justice. For me. He nodded, hesitating. Just don't let it consume you. Don't let anger become your identity. I won't, I promised, though inside I knew the anger would never fully leave. It was fuel now, shaping my thoughts, sharpening my focus. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. Every memory of Emily, every insult of betrayal, every arrogant glance of Adams. It all became data. Patterns, clues, opportunities. The moral line was thin. I knew that, but so was the path to peace. And if I was going to find peace, I had to walk it carefully, knowing at every step that the person I had been, the naive, trusting Michael, was gone. I whispered into the empty room, "I trusted you, and you broke me, but I'll regain control. Carefully, slowly, and you'll see. Someday you'll understand what it feels like to lose everything too." And with that thought, I began mapping every small move, every subtle exposure, every calculated risk. My heart still ached, my mind still raged. But now, there was a plan. A dangerous, careful, controlled plan. I walked through campus, my notebook tucked under my arm, my mind racing with every detail I had gathered. Each conversation I overheard, every interaction I observed. It all became ammunition, subtle, invisible, yet powerful. "Hey, Michael," Jake called, jogging up beside me. "Still planning your masterstroke?" I smirked, though my chest ached. "I'm careful, not reckless." "You sure?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "This isn't just about information. It's about people. Emotions." "I know," I said, flipping open my notebook. "That's why I'm being subtle. No direct attacks. Just letting the truth show itself." Jake frowned. "You mean rumors?" "Not rumors. Facts. Things people see, things they hear. Patterns they can't ignore. Once the cracks appear, they spread." We passed Emily sitting on a bench with Laura, her closest friend. I noticed the subtle tension. The way Emily laughed a little too sharply, how Lara's eyes flicked toward me briefly. I approached slowly. "Hey, Lara," I said casually. Lara stiffened. "Oh, hi, Michael. How's Emily?" I asked, voice light. "She's fine," Lara said, uncertain. "Why?" "Just making conversation," I said, smiling faintly. "It's been a while, hasn't it?" Emily looked up, startled. "Michael, hi." "Hi," I said softly, letting the tension linger just long enough. Jake nudged me. "Play it calm. Subtle." I nodded. "Of course." Later, I sent a carefully worded email to a few student groups, highlighting Adam's overreach in college decisions, phrased as concern for fairness. It wasn't accusatory, just observations backed by small documented incidents. The next day, whispers began. "Did you hear about Adam's favoritism?" "Emily. She seemed nervous in class lately. I thought she was perfect." "What's going on?" I watched from a distance, noting reactions, measuring the impact. The first cracks had appeared. Lara approached me during lunch. "Michael, what are you doing?" she asked, voice low. "Just observing," I said, closing my notebook. "They can't hide who they are forever." Lara frowned. You're hurting Emily, you know. Doesn't that bother you?" "Of course it does," I admitted, staring down at my hands. "Every move I make, I feel the weight. But she made her choices, and so did he. I can't ignore it." She looked conflicted. I didn't want to believe it either. But seeing her act like nothing happened, it's hard not to notice. And Adams, he's manipulative. I think some people need to know." I nodded slowly. "Exactly. I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. Just letting patterns speak for themselves." That evening, Emily confronted me. "Michael, what are you doing?" Her voice was sharp, but there was fear beneath it. "I'm just letting people see the truth," I said calmly. "You and Adams made choices. People notice eventually." "Notice?" she repeated, incredulous. "They won't believe." They will," I interrupted gently. "Small cracks become visible when repeated. Lies can't hold forever." Her lips trembled. You're destroying everything." "I'm not destroying. I'm exposing," I said. "You destroyed us. I'm just showing it." Professor Adams appeared behind her, frowning. "Michael, you're crossing a line." "Am I?" I asked softly. "Or are you finally feeling what it's like to be questioned? Watched? Doubted?" He hesitated, his composure slipping slightly. Emily's hand clutched her bag. Lara watched from a distance, silent but attentive. The next few days were surreal. Friends began asking Emily questions, subtly probing, noticing inconsistencies. Adams faced quiet resistance during meetings. I felt a twinge of satisfaction, but it wasn't the exhilaration I imagined. Instead, it was heavy, knowing the pain I had orchestrated even indirectly. Jake found me one afternoon, sitting on a bench, exhausted. "How's it feel?" he asked gently. I stared at the ground. Satisfying, but not the way I thought. Seeing them falter. It's not joy. It's complicated. There's guilt, relief, anger, and emptiness. All at once. "You're human," Jake said. "Revenge rarely feels clean." "I know," I admitted. "But it's necessary. Not for fun. Not for malice. Just balance. Closure." Lara approached, hesitating. "Michael, I want to say thank you for being honest, even if it hurts. Emily, she can't hide things forever. People need to know." I nodded. "I don't want anyone destroyed unfairly. Just accountable. Just truth." She smiled faintly, conflicted but understanding. "Be careful. Don't let this consume you." "I won't," I said, though inside I knew I had changed. Every step I had taken, every observation, every subtle exposure, it shaped me. Stronger, sharper, more aware, less naive. I wasn't the same Michael who had believed in perfect love, untouched by betrayal. Emily avoided me now, casting worried glances when she passed. Adam's calm arrogance was cracking, visible to those who paid attention. The social power was shifting. And yet, as I watched them, I realized something. Revenge didn't feel like victory. It was complicated, painful, and morally gray. But I felt in control. And after months of betrayal, loss, and heartbreak, control was enough. I whispered to myself, "I trusted you. You broke me. But I'm not broken anymore. I'm awake. I'm stronger. And you'll feel the weight of your choices." I didn't plan to confront them directly. I stayed back, hidden just enough to watch, letting the truth do its work. Emily stood near the campus fountain, her head bowed, hands twisting nervously. Adams hovered nearby, frowning, defensive but uneasy. "You don't understand," Adams said, voice strained but attempting calm. "I didn't mean." "You didn't mean?" Emily's voice cracked. "You think that excuses everything? Michael trusted me. We had plans. And you—" Her voice broke into a sob. "You betrayed me. Me and everything I believed in." I stayed silent, watching. My heart thumped, but the rage I'd carried for weeks had evolved into something quieter. Control, clarity, a detached understanding. Adams ran a hand through his hair. It was complicated. You wouldn't understand. I was under pressure and— "Under pressure?" Emily snapped, glaring at him. "We trusted you. I trusted you. And you lied, manipulated, and destroyed lives for your convenience." I clenched my fists, feeling the weight of months of planning and observation finally crystallize in this moment. They were cracking. Social whispers had grown into pointed glances, subtle confrontations from peers. The arrogance Adams once wielded like armor was melting. I didn't think," Adams faltered. Emily's gaze flicked toward me, and I stepped out of the shadows. "You didn't think?" I asked quietly, letting the words cut sharper than any accusation. "You didn't think about the people you hurt? About me?" Her lips parted, unsure. Adams turned to face me, defensive now. "Michael, this isn't your fight anymore. You've already done." "Done?" I interrupted, holding up the unopened ring. "Done? I trusted you with everything. And you—" I took a deep breath, letting the rage simmer but not explode. "You both made choices. Now you face them." Emily's hands flew to her face. "Michael, you loved me," I said quietly. "Or at least I thought you did. And that makes your betrayal worse. But I'm done being your victim." She dropped her hands, tears streaming, shame written across her face. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. Every lie, every secret. I regret it. I never wanted it to hurt you. I was scared, foolish, weak. Adams shook his head. Emily, it wasn't just you. Michael, you don't understand. It's complicated. Save it, I said firmly. Complicated doesn't erase what you did. It doesn't undo the pain. Emily swallowed, her eyes red but clear. I wish I could take it back. Every moment I lied. Every smile that was false. I can't undo it, Michael. But I am sorry. Truly. I nodded, holding the ring box in my hand. I opened it slowly and set it on the fountain ledge. I never gave this to you, and now it doesn't matter. It was meant for someone who deserved honesty. Maybe one day you'll understand that trust isn't a game. She looked at it, trembling. Michael! I shook my head gently. Not now. Maybe never. But the regret you feel, keep it. Let it teach you. Let it stay with you, because actions have consequences. Adams finally faltered completely, shoulders slumping. I thought I could control it, manipulate it. Everything. I was wrong. I see that now. But I can't fix this. I can't undo it. Exactly, I said, my voice steady. You can't undo it. And that's the truth you have to live with. That's the weight of betrayal. Laura approached quietly from behind, placing a hand on Emily's shoulder. Michael's right. You need to learn from this. You need to live with it. Maybe it'll change you, or maybe it'll just break you. That's on you. Emily nodded slowly, accepting the silent judgment. Her tears fell freely now, remorse heavy in every movement. Adams remained frozen, realizing that pride and arrogance had failed him. I stepped back, letting them feel the gravity of their choices without interference. My own chest felt lighter, though my hands still shook slightly from the intensity. I had orchestrated consequences without malice, only to reclaim my own peace. Jake appeared beside me quietly. Feeling okay? He asked. I nodded. I think I finally stopped being their prisoner. I'm not consumed by anger anymore. I'm free, I guess. Stronger. He glanced at Emily and Adams. They'll carry that regret forever. Yes, I said, voice low. And I'll carry my memories too, but without the bitterness. I've grown. I've learned. I've survived. That's enough. I picked up a letter I had written months ago, never sent. My handwriting was shaky but honest. I tore it carefully and let it float into the fountain's water. Symbols of the past, of love and loss, drifting away. Closure finally tangible. Emily whispered to Laura, barely audible. I hope, one day, he forgives me. I smiled faintly to myself, detached. Forgiveness isn't mine to give. Peace is mine to take. And with that I walked away. Not triumphant, not cruel, not vindictive. Just whole. I sat on the park bench, the late afternoon sun soft on my shoulders. Jake joined me, tossing a bottle of water my way. Feels weird, doesn't it? He asked. All this aftermath? I caught it, unscrewed the cap. Yeah, feels lighter but also strange. Like a chapter ending I didn't want to write myself. You're smiling, he said, surprised. I guess, I said slowly. It's not happiness exactly. More relief. I survived. I didn't break. I'm not consumed by anger anymore. Jake nodded. So, you're done with them? I have to be, I said. Emily, Adams, they have to live with their choices. I'm done carrying that weight. I realized something. What's that? Revenge isn't victory. Revenge is temporary. Peace is permanent. I can't let their mistakes define me forever. Jake leaned back, whistling softly. Wise words from the guy who almost lost it all. I chuckled faintly. Almost. But I didn't. I held on to myself through it. That counts for something. I pulled my phone from my pocket, scrolling through old messages from Emily. Each one was a memory. Sweet, innocent, now poisoned by lies. I hesitated, thumb hovering over the delete button. Thinking of deleting them? Jake asked. Yeah. But no. I need to remember what I survived. Not to hurt myself, but to remind myself trust is precious. And so is honesty. A breeze rustled the trees. I remembered the ring I left in the fountain, floating gently on the water. Symbolic closure. I didn't need it anymore. The gesture itself had released me. You okay? Jake asked again. I nodded. I am. I'm starting to see. Life doesn't end with betrayal. Continues. And I'll carry the lessons forward. Jake smiled. That's growth, man. Real growth. Later, I walked through campus, observing quietly. Emily passed by, head lowered, moving faster when our eyes met briefly. I saw her hesitation, the subtle unease lingering in her steps. Karma wasn't loud. It was subtle, persistent. I whispered to myself, you made your choices. You'll live with them. That's enough. A group of students laughed nearby, enjoying harmless chatter. I realized I hadn't felt this light in weeks. Not free from memory entirely, but free from the emotional chains that tied me to their mistakes. I spotted Lara from a distance, sitting under a tree. She waved and I nodded. No words were necessary. She understood. Some connections remained untainted by betrayal. Proof that life still had honesty, still had kindness. Jake met me again near the library. You look different. Not bitter, not broken, just present. Present, I echoed, smiling faintly. It feels good. I can focus on me now. My ambitions, my life, my happiness doesn't have to be a reaction to their failures. He nodded. Good. You deserve that. You earned that. I thought of the letter I'd floated into the fountain, the one I never sent. My unspoken words, my unshared love and hurt, now gone. Closure doesn't always need confrontation. Sometimes it needs release. Emily passed again, this time with Adams at a distance. I noticed her glancing around, nervous, guarded. I felt a flicker of pity. Maybe it was just recognition that consequences linger, even after I moved on. I smiled faintly. Karma isn't always immediate. It's quiet, slow, but it follows. Jake nudged me. You're really done this time, huh? I think so, I said. Not because I want revenge, but because I finally understand. I can't control their pain, only my own peace. That's power. That's freedom. We walked toward the campus exit, sun dipping lower, painting the sky in gold and purple. I breathed deeply, letting the colors settle inside me. I'm ready, I said softly. Ready to live my life fully, without bitterness. Betrayal changed me, but it didn't destroy me. That's enough. Jake clapped me on the shoulder. You've grown, Michael. You really have. I glanced back one last time at the fading figures of Emily and Adams. Their steps were hesitant, their conversations quiet. The world moved on, and so did I. Some lessons leave scars, but scars remind you of survival, of strength, of growth. I whispered, goodbye, Emily. Goodbye, Adams. May your choices teach you what mine have taught me. And may I never forget, peace is my own. And with that, I stepped forward, leaving the past behind, stepping into the life I was ready to claim. Stronger, wiser, and free. I sat on the park bench, the late afternoon sun soft on my shoulders. Jake joined me, tossing a bottle of water my way. Feels weird, doesn't it? He asked. All this aftermath? I caught it, unscrewed the cap. Yeah, feels lighter but also strange. Like a chapter ending I didn't want to write myself. You're smiling, he said, surprised. I guess, I said slowly. It's not happiness exactly. More relief. I survived. I didn't break. I'm not consumed by anger anymore. Jake nodded. So, you're done with them? I have to be, I said. Emily, Adams, they have to live with their choices. I'm done carrying that weight. I realized something. What's that? Revenge isn't victory. Revenge is temporary. Peace is permanent. I can't let their mistakes define me forever. Jake leaned back, whistling softly. Wise words from the guy who almost lost it all. I chuckled faintly. Almost. But I didn't. I held on to myself through it. That counts for something. I pulled my phone from my pocket, scrolling through old messages from Emily. Each one was a memory. Sweet, innocent, now poisoned by lies. I hesitated, thumb hovering over the delete button. Thinking of deleting them? Jake asked. Yeah. But no. I need to remember what I survived. Not to hurt myself, but to remind myself trust is precious. And so is honesty. A breeze rustled the trees. I remembered the ring I left in the fountain, floating gently on the water. Symbolic closure. I didn't need it anymore. The gesture itself had released me. You okay? Jake asked again. I nodded. I am. I'm starting to see. Life doesn't end with betrayal. Continues. And I'll carry the lessons forward. Jake smiled. That's growth, man. Real growth. Later, I walked through campus, observing quietly. Emily passed by, head lowered, moving faster when our eyes met briefly. I saw her hesitation, the subtle unease lingering in her steps. Karma wasn't loud. It was subtle, persistent. I whispered to myself, you made your choices. You'll live with them. That's enough. A group of students laughed nearby, enjoying harmless chatter. I realized I hadn't felt this light in weeks. Not free from memory entirely, but free from the emotional chains that tied me to their mistakes. I spotted Lara from a distance, sitting under a tree. She waved and I nodded. No words were necessary. She understood. Some connections remained untainted by betrayal. Proof that life still had honesty, still had kindness. Jake met me again near the library. You look different. Not bitter. Not broken. Just present. Present, I echoed, smiling faintly. It feels good. I can focus on me now. My ambitions. My life. My happiness doesn't have to be a reaction to their failures. He nodded. Good. You deserve that. You earned that. I thought of the letter I'd floated into the fountain, the one I never sent. My unspoken words, my unshared love and hurt, now gone. Closure doesn't always need confrontation. Sometimes it needs release. Emily passed again, this time with Adams at a distance. I noticed her glancing around, nervous, guarded. I felt a flicker of pity. Maybe it was just recognition that consequences linger, even after I moved on. I smiled faintly. Karma isn't always immediate. It's quiet, slow, but it follows. Jake nudged me. You're really done this time, huh? I think so, I said. Not because I want revenge, but because I finally understand. I can't control their pain, only my own peace. That's power. That's freedom. We walked toward the campus exit, sun dipping lower, painting the sky in gold and purple. I breathed deeply, letting the colors settle inside me. I'm ready, I said softly. Ready to live my life fully, without bitterness. Betrayal changed me, but it didn't destroy me. That's enough. Jake clapped me on the shoulder. You've grown, Michael. You really have. I glanced back one last time at the fading figures of Emily and Adams. Their steps were hesitant, their conversations quiet. The world moved on, and so did I. Some lessons leave scars, but scars remind you of survival, of strength, of growth. I whispered, goodbye, Emily. Goodbye, Adams. May your choices teach you what mine have taught me. And may I never forget, peace is my own. And with that, I stepped forward, leaving the past behind, stepping into the life I was ready to claim. Stronger, wiser, and free.